Welcome to Celestial Zodiac, your home for clear and grounded astrology. In this video, we're looking at Saturn returns from a different angle. Not just where they happen in your chart, but how they unfold. Because while the house shows the area of life being affected, the sign Saturn is in shapes the experience itself. This is what determines the tone of your Saturn return. Whether it feels more emotional, more external, more intense, or more internal. It influences how you respond to pressure, what kind of lessons you're being asked to learn, and the way growth shows up in your life. So if you've been wondering why your experience feels so different from someone else's, even if you're going through the same cycle, your Saturn sign may explain exactly why. While the house shows where your Saturn return is happening, the sign shows how it unfolds. Each sign brings a different approach to growth. Some Saturn returns feel more internal and emotional, while others are more external and action-based. For example, a water sign Saturn return may feel deeply emotional and introspective, while a fire sign Saturn return may show up through action, conflict, or the need to assert yourself. The experience isn't just about what happens, it's about how you process it and respond to it. The sign also influences whether the pressure feels more internal or external. In some cases, the challenges come from within. Self-doubt, fear, or emotional patterns that need to be addressed. In other cases, the pressure shows up through circumstances, career demands, relationship dynamics, or situations that force you to act. Most people experience a combination of both, but the sign can tilt the experience in one direction. This is why two people can go through a Saturn return at the same time and have completely different experiences. Even if they're the same age, the sign Saturn is in, and how it interacts with the rest of their chart, creates a unique set of lessons and challenges. For example, one person has Saturn in Aries while the other has it in Pisces. The person with Saturn in Aries might feel pressure to take action, become more independent, and stop relying on others. They're being pushed to develop confidence and assert themselves. Meanwhile, the person with Saturn in Pisces may experience something much more internal, dealing with emotional patterns, boundaries, or the need to let go of illusions and face deeper truths. Understanding your Saturn sign helps you make sense of how you're being pushed to grow. It gives context to the type of pressure you're experiencing and the kind of strength you're being asked to develop. So now that you understand how the sign shapes the experience of your Saturn return, let's break it down by each zodiac sign. This is where things start to get more specific, because each sign brings a completely different tone to the lessons you're being asked to learn. Some are more direct and action-oriented, while others are more emotional or internal. The challenges may look different on the surface, but they all serve the same purpose: growth, maturity, and alignment with reality. Aries is about independence, action, and self-assertion. It's the sign of taking initiative and moving forward with confidence. When Saturn returns in Aries, the lesson often centers around learning how to stand on your own and take responsibility for your direction in life. You may feel pressure to stop relying on others for validation or guidance and instead develop a stronger sense of self-leadership. This can be a time where you're pushed to take action, even if you don't feel fully ready. Hesitation, self-doubt, or fear of failure may come up, but avoiding action usually isn't an option. You're being asked to move forward with intention and build confidence through experience. As this unfolds, you begin to develop a more grounded and mature sense of independence. One that isn't impulsive but intentional and self-directed. Taurus is about stability, security, values, and the material world. It's connected to what you build and what you rely on for long-term support. A Saturn return in Taurus often brings focus to finances, resources, and your sense of self-worth. You may feel pressure to create more stability in your life. especially if things have been inconsistent or uncertain. This can be a time where you reassess what you truly value and whether your current lifestyle reflects that. You may need to become more disciplined with money, develop stronger financial habits, or build something that provides lasting security. Through this process, you begin to create a more solid foundation, one that supports both your material needs and your sense of personal worth. Gemini is about communication, learning, thinking, and the exchange of information. It represents how you process ideas and connect with others through language and understanding. When Saturn returns in Gemini, there can be a shift in how you think and communicate. You may feel pressure to become more focused, more disciplined, and more intentional with your words and ideas. This can also be a period of serious learning. You may be required to develop new skills, refine your communication style, or take on responsibilities that involve writing, speaking, or organizing information. As this develops, your thinking becomes clearer and more structured, and your ability to communicate becomes more grounded and effective. Cancer is about emotions, home, family, and inner security. It represents your emotional foundation and your sense of safety and belonging. A Saturn return in Cancer often brings emotional themes to the surface, especially those connected to family or your past. You may feel a need to create a stronger sense of stability in your home life or address patterns that have been affecting you on a deeper level. This can be a sensitive period, where you're asked to take responsibility for your emotional well-being rather than relying on external sources for comfort or security. As you work through these themes, you begin to build a more stable inner foundation, one that allows you to feel secure from within rather than depending entirely on your environment. Leo is about self-expression, confidence, creativity, and being seen. It represents how you shine and how you share your individuality with the world. When Saturn returns in Leo, the focus often shifts to how you express yourself and whether you feel truly confident in who you are. You may feel blocked creatively, unsure of your voice, or hesitant to put yourself out there. This can be a time where you're asked to take your self-expression more seriously, rather than seeking validation or attention from others. Issues around confidence, recognition, or feeling overlooked may come up. As you move through this, you begin to develop a more grounded and authentic sense of confidence, one that comes from within rather than external approval. Virgo is about routines, discipline, health, and attention to detail. It represents how you manage your daily life and create order in practical ways. A Saturn return in Virgo often brings a strong focus on structure, habits, and responsibilities. You may feel pressure to become more organized, more efficient, or more consistent in your day-to-day life. This can also highlight areas where things have been out of balance, especially in relation to work, health, or stress. You may need to refine your routines or address habits that aren't sustainable. Over time, you build a more functional and stable system for managing your life, creating a stronger sense of control and reliability. Libra is about relationships, balance, fairness, and partnership. It represents how you connect with others and create harmony in your interactions. When Saturn returns in Libra, relationships often come into focus. You may be evaluating whether your connections are balanced, supportive, and aligned with your values. This can bring challenges in partnerships, especially if there has been imbalance, avoidance, or unclear boundaries. You may be asked to make decisions about commitment or redefine what you need from others. As you work through this, you develop stronger boundaries and a clearer understanding of what healthy, balanced relationships look like. Scorpio is about transformation, control, intimacy, and deep emotional processes. It represents the parts of life that are intense, private, and often hidden beneath the surface. A Saturn return in Scorpio can feel powerful because it brings up deeper emotional patterns, especially around trust, control, and vulnerability. You may be confronted with situations that require you to face what you've been avoiding. This can involve shifts in close relationships, shared resources, or emotional attachments that are no longer serving you. Letting go may feel difficult but necessary. As this unfolds, you develop stronger emotional resilience and a deeper understanding of yourself, allowing for real transformation rather than surface-level change. Sagittarius is about beliefs, truth, exploration, and life direction. It represents how you understand the world and the meaning you assign to your experiences. When Saturn returns in Sagittarius, your belief system may be challenged or redefined. Ideas you once felt certain about may no longer hold up under closer examination. This can be a time where you're asked to take your knowledge and perspective more seriously, rather than relying on assumptions or borrowed beliefs. You may feel pressure to find a direction that actually aligns with your truth. As this unfolds, your perspective becomes more grounded and realistic, giving you a clearer and more meaningful sense of purpose moving forward. Capricorn is about structure, discipline, career, and long-term goals. It represents responsibility, authority, and what you're building over time. A Saturn return in Capricorn is especially strong because Saturn rules this sign. The focus here is often on career achievement, and whether the path you're on is truly sustainable. You may feel increased pressure to succeed, take on more responsibility, or prove yourself in some way. At the same time, anything built on an unstable foundation may start to fall away. As this develops, you create a more solid and realistic path forward, often leading to greater authority, stability, and long-term success. Aquarius is about individuality, innovation, community, and long-term vision. It represents how you think differently and how you connect with the collective. When Saturn returns in Aquarius, there can be a focus on your place within groups, communities, or social networks. You may question where you belong and whether your connections truly align with who you are. This can also bring pressure to define your goals more clearly, especially those connected to your future or your role in something larger than yourself. You may need to step into a more defined role within a group or organization. As this unfolds, you develop a clearer sense of direction and a more intentional connection to the people and communities that support your growth. Pisces is about emotions, intuition, healing, and the subconscious. It represents what is unseen, as well as your connection to deeper emotional and spiritual processes. A Saturn return in Pisces often brings internal themes to the surface, especially those related to boundaries, emotional patterns, and letting go. You may feel more sensitive or aware of what's been operating beneath the surface. This can be a time where you're asked to face illusions, release what isn't real, and develop stronger emotional and energetic boundaries. Avoidance or escapism tends to become more difficult to maintain. As this develops, you gain a deeper sense of clarity and emotional strength, allowing you to move forward with greater awareness and balance. Saturn returns are not just about when they happen, they're about how they happen, and the sign Saturn is in plays a major role in shaping that experience. Each sign brings a different tone, a different set of challenges, and a different path to growth. But no matter the sign, the purpose remains the same: learning responsibility, building something real, and aligning your life with what actually works. While the experience may feel intense in the moment, it's often the process that leads to the most meaningful and lasting change. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.